You're not being ignored by accident, and deep down, you already know that. You see their name pop up on your phone, you reply almost instantly, but when you text them, hours go by, sometimes days, sometimes nothing at all. And the worst part isn't the silence, it's the way your mind tries to make excuses for it. They're probably busy. Maybe they didn't see it. I'm overthinking. But if you're being honest with yourself, this isn't the first time. It's a pattern. And patterns don't lie. People do. So here's the real question. Why does it hurt so much when someone you care about ignores you? It's not just emotional, it's neurological. Your brain processes social rejection the same way it processes physical pain. The same regions that activate when you burn your hand on a stove light up when someone you care about withdraws from you. That's why being ignored doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it feels painful, real pain, the kind that lingers, the kind that keeps you up at night replaying conversations, wondering what you did wrong. But here's where it gets deeper, because it's not just about being ignored, it's about who is doing the ignoring. When a stranger ignores you, you don't think twice. But when it's someone you care about, someone you've invested time, energy, and emotion into, your brain treats it like a violation. Because in your mind, there was an unspoken agreement. I show up for you, you show up for me. And when that agreement is broken, your brain doesn't just register absence, it registers betrayal. That's why you start overanalyzing everything. You go back to your last conversation, you reread messages, you search for a shift in tone, a hidden meaning, something you might have missed. Because your brain is trying to solve a problem. It's trying to restore certainty in a situation that suddenly feels unpredictable. And uncertainty is one of the most uncomfortable states for the human mind. So what do most people do? They chase clarity. They double text, they reach out again, they try harder, not because they're weak, but because their brain is wired to close emotional gaps. But here's the part nobody tells you. The more you chase someone who's ignoring you, the more you train them to value you less. That's not opinion, that's behavioral psychology. Humans value what feels scarce, not what feels guaranteed. When you're always available, always responding, always trying, you remove the uncertainty for them. And ironically, that makes you easier to overlook. Now, this doesn't mean you should start playing games. It means you need to understand the dynamic. Because attention is a currency, and right now, you're overpaying. Let's pause for a second. Think about the last time someone ignored you, really ignored you. Not just delayed response, but consistent distance. How did you react? Did you give them space? Or did you lean in harder? Most people lean in. They try to fix it. They try to earn back attention that should have been given freely in the first place. And that's where things start to break. Because when you start chasing attention, you slowly lose your self-respect without even realizing it. And the scariest part? It doesn't happen all at once. It happens quietly. One ignored message at a time. One excuse at a time. One moment where you tell yourself it's okay, when deep down, you know it's not. But here's something even more important. Not everyone who ignores you is doing it consciously. Some people are just emotionally unavailable, not because they want to hurt you, but because they don't have the capacity to show up the way you need. And this is where people get stuck, because they confuse potential with reality. They think, I know they care, they just don't show it. Or, they're going through something, I should be patient. And sometimes that's true, but most of the time, it's a story you tell yourself to avoid facing a harder truth. That this person simply doesn't value you the way you value them. And accepting that is painful, because it forces you to let go of the version of them you created in your head. The version that responds, the version that cares, the version that shows up. But reality doesn't operate on potential, it operates on patterns. And if someone consistently ignores you, that is the answer. Not the one you want, but the one you need. Now here's where things take a turn.
Because being ignored doesn't just affect how you see them, it affects how you see yourself. After a while, you stop asking, why are they ignoring me? And you start asking, what's wrong with me? That shift is dangerous because now, instead of questioning their behavior, you start questioning your worth. You start thinking maybe you're too much, too emotional, too available, too easy to overlook. But let's be clear, being ignored by the wrong person does not mean you are unworthy. It means you are misaligned. There's a difference, and understanding that difference can change everything. Because the problem isn't that you care too much. The problem is that you're giving that care to someone who doesn't know what to do with it. Imagine pouring water into a glass with a crack in it. No matter how much you pour, it will never stay full. Not because the water is lacking, but because the container is broken. And yet, most people blame the water. They think, maybe I should give more. But more doesn't fix what's fundamentally incompatible. Now let me ask you something. What would happen if you stopped trying to be understood by people who have already decided not to understand you? What would happen if you stopped explaining yourself, stopped chasing, stopped filling the silence? At first, it would feel uncomfortable because silence forces you to confront something you've been avoiding, your attachment. Not to them, but to the idea of them. You're not just holding on to a person, you're holding on to what they represent. Connection, validation, familiarity. And letting go of that feels like losing a part of yourself. But here's the truth most people don't realize until much later. The moment you stop chasing someone's attention, you start reclaiming your own. And that changes everything. Because now, instead of waiting for a notification, you're present in your own life. Instead of analyzing their behavior, you start observing your own patterns. You start asking better questions. Why did I tolerate being ignored for so long? Why did I feel the need to prove my worth to someone who wasn't paying attention? And those questions lead to something powerful, self-awareness. And self-awareness leads to boundaries. Not the kind you announce loudly, but the kind you enforce quietly. The kind where you don't need to block them, argue with them, or explain anything. You simply stop giving access. Because access is earned, not owed. Now, here's the part that might surprise you. When you stop chasing, sometimes people come back. Not always, but often. And when they do, it's not because you changed them. It's because you changed the dynamic. You removed the certainty. You created space. And suddenly, they notice the absence of something they took for granted.
But by that point, something inside you has shifted. You're no longer responding from need. You're responding from choice. And that's a completely different place to operate from. Because now, you can see clearly. You can see whether they're actually showing up or just returning because it's convenient. And that clarity, that's power. But let's not ignore something important. Not every situation requires you to walk away completely. Sometimes it's about adjusting expectations. Not everyone is meant to play a major role in your life. Some people are temporary, some are situational, and some are simply not capable of meeting you where you are. And that's okay. The problem isn't that people can't always meet your expectations. The problem is when you keep lowering your standards to accommodate their limitations. That's where resentment begins. So instead of asking, why are they ignoring me? Ask, why am I still available to someone who consistently overlooks me? That question shifts the focus back to where it belongs, you. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about being ignored. It's about what you tolerate, what you accept, and what you believe you deserve. And if you've made it this far, there's a reason, because something in this resonates with you. Maybe you're thinking about a specific person right now. Maybe you've been waiting for a message that never came. Maybe you've been telling yourself it's not a big deal while feeling the weight of it every day. So let me say this clearly. You are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are not invisible. You were just giving your attention to someone who didn't recognize its value. And that's not your failure. That's your lesson. Because once you understand this, you stop chasing people who ignore you, and you start choosing people who choose you. And that changes everything. If this felt personal, it's because it is. And if you've ever been ignored by someone you cared about and finally saw it for what it really is, then maybe this wasn't just a video. Maybe this was clarity.